WKRO 217, your news for Nowhere.
Good evening, Nowhere. This is Silas Caudwell, your hauntingly handsome host. It's a week for feasts in Nowhere. Whether you are celebrating with food or frights, I won't judge. I'm not here to yuck your yums or yum your yucks. Just here to warm up your night while you defrost your meats. Now, I hope you're ready for this deviously delectable tale because we are skipping the appetizers and diving mouth first into tonight's main course. Here is a caller who set out to cook kindness and served up something that learned to bite. Welcome, Brandy Holt. You're on with Silas.
Hi, Silas. Brandy Holt. Thank you for having me.
Pleasure's mine, Brandy. Introduce yourself and tell us what you're cooking up for Nowhere.
I'm a food scientist with specialty in vegan gastronomy and cellular texture. I'm developing a future where no animal gets hurt while celebrating a holiday.
That's a mouthful.
What matters is that I've spent the last 2 years developing a protein that can approximate animal muscle without suffering.
Approximate sounds questionable.
Basically, I've mastered the perfect Tofurky.
Then give the listeners the elevator pitch on how that works.
Of course. I'm the founder of Compassion Food Labs. We create ethical meat, zero slaughterhouses, all science.
So you're vegan yourself?
Since I was 12. As a child, my mother would take me to a petting zoo called Granny Peck's Friendly Farm. They had this adorable calf named Buttercup who I loved to pet. I fed her hay through the fence. She licked my hand. We had a special friendship. However, one day I noticed Buttercup wasn't out in the pen. It was only when I visited the concession stand that I knew what had happened to her.
Oh.
They were serving Buttercup burgers for lunch that day. I still remember the sign. It said, "Farm to Table Fresh." I held a candlelight vigil in the goat pen afterwards, and I have sworn off meat since.
Touching. I assume the goats appreciated the moment of mourning.
One fainted, so I take that as an affirmation.
You're a true activist.
I like to think so.
So we have your tragic origin story. Every superhero needs one. And supervillain, may I add.
What are you suggesting?
No suggestions, just stating the obvious, my dear. So tell us how your dietary preferences impact the rest of us.
People still crave meat. Hell, I still crave meat. I miss the mouthfeel, the warmth, the memory. I wanted to give that back without taking a life. I thought, why not ask the universe for permission instead of forgiveness?
I usually just ask for dessert.
Anyway, I was stuck in my nostalgia one day when this epiphany struck me. Everyone says veganism is about consent. Animals can't give it, so we don't take from them. So I thought, what if someone could give consent? What if the source agreed?
So you asked a cow nicely?
Better, I asked myself. There's nothing more ethical than requesting from the source. And I am the source.
You want to elaborate for the anti-cannibals at home?
Relax. No one is just eating my skin and bones. Technically.
Technically?
I used my own DNA to grow it. So, no skin off my bones, literally.
That may get into some ethical clone laws, but I'll save that for another episode.
Look, what matters is that it succeeded brilliantly, and no animals were harmed in the making.
Brilliance one word, cannibal adjacent's another. But we won't judge innovation any further. Tell me, does HR make you sign a waiver before taste testing yourself?
We don't have an HR department, Silas.
Why am I not surprised? Enough with the back and forth. Tell us what happened after your ethical epiphany.
I began the first batch. First, I sterilized everything with vinegar and heat, cleaned until I could see my reflection in the countertop. I had to have the optimal prep space. Then I pulled out my soy curd I had prepped. I pressed it through a sieve by hand, not machine, which very much matters. Next came the mushrooms. King oysters, to be specific. I sautéed them until they were beautifully golden brown in color, then folded them into the curd. That way, the fibers could tangle with the soy, congeal, and become one. Then came the algae slurry, green and full of life. It gave everything a sheen, almost luminous. I folded those ingredients together until my palms were sweating against my ceramic mixing bowl, and then I added the catalyst.
Salt? Paprika? Holy water?
A splash of blood.
Yes, like a splash of milk and coffee.
I delicately cut across my index finger. It hurt less than a paper cut. I let the crimson drip into my mixture and watched my curd pinken with life. Then I left it overnight.
While you're preheating, go ahead and heat things up over here with a like and subscribe. I'm awfully thankful for you, and I'll definitely count you as one of my bloody blessings this year. What happened in the morning?
The blood wasn't enough. It deflated on itself. And every iteration after that, too. I tried everything. More protein, less mycelium, different binding salts. I'd pour my mixtures into pans, shape it for a few different ways, and bake each at varying temperatures. Every attempt froze beautifully, and then they just all sank. Just wet tofu collapsing under its own weight. By the sixth batch, I was surrounded by cooling pans and at my wits' end. That's when it happened. There was a power surge. I had the oven, blender, microwave, and mixer going at the same time when the mixer started to smoke and sparked inside my souffle. The bowl glowed briefly like something was trying to wake up.
What did you do?
Well, first I panicked and unplugged everything, threw in the towel for the night, and told myself I'd clean it all up in the morning. I was exhausted, so I left it. But in the morning, when I came back down, it had changed. It had grown overnight, not much, but enough to give me hope. The surface was smooth and taut, almost glossy like a glaze had formed. The smell had shifted too. Less yeast, more umami, like a warm mushroom soup with a bit of steak mixed in. This was the first day things looked promising. I scraped it out onto parchment and realized it had molded itself into shape. A clean, perfect log, seamless and symmetrical. Then I pressed it, and it sounded like a sponge exhaling.
You act as though it was almost human.
That's what the moment felt like. But I didn't want to get my hopes up yet. I needed to know what made it respond. I tried everything. Extra glucose, more mycelium, olive oil, broth, soy concentrate. Nothing changed it, though. It just sat there, stubborn and perfect looking. Then, by accident, I cut my palm on the cooling rack. A stupid, shallow slice. I didn't even notice it until I saw drops hit the surface of the loaf. It was definitely more than I had put in before. The reaction was immediate. The surface rippled and pulled the drop inward, and the whole thing brightened. The crust blushed pink, like color returning to cold skin. I froze. It looked satisfied.
I don't think a food can look satisfied.
Then think again. Science says follow the data, so I did. I fed another drop, then two, and each time it responded positively. It almost pulsed and throbbed like it had a heart. By the end of the first week, it had doubled in size, and I had to move it onto a baking pan. By week 2, it overflowed the pan. By week 3, it was demanding more.
This Black Friday, Python is squeezing out the competition. From electronics and apparel to ethically questionable relics, we bring it right to your door before you can even click buy now. Because here in Nowhere, Python knows what you want before you do. This weekend only, enjoy 99% off select items you've never ordered and can't return. Worried about delivery delays? Don't be. Python Premiere guarantees your package will arrive by sunset, so you can have everything to survive the night. So this Black Friday, don't fight the crowds. Let Python coil around your shopping needs. Python, fast, friendly, and always constricting.
So your Tofurky wanted more of your blood?
Yep. If I skipped a feeding, it would deflate, lose color. I continued to feed it, which would brighten it right back up. Soon I stopped pricking my finger. That wasn't enough. I started using small vials, a syringe, and a cup. I told myself it was still vegan because I was consenting.
That's one way to stay in compliance with your own ethics policy. So when did you actually stop feeding it and, eat it?
I started experimenting with cooking, what I lovingly called alpha, at the month mark. And when I baked pieces of it, thin slices, samples for testing, it was perfect. The texture, the fibers, the flavor. I sent it out under the Compassion Foods label as a limited prototype. We called it Compassion Cutlets. Within days, the reviews flooded in. Puts other plant-based meats to shame. I don't need this as a swap when it's really just as good as the real thing. Finally, something that actually tastes beyond. People said it even cooked just like meat. The way its oils marinated on a skillet replicated bacon without the squeals. The orders poured in, restaurants begged for supply. I couldn't keep up with the requests.
So you went from bleeding for your work to what? Harvesting it?
Alpha provided, I curated. I cut off a slab, it would heal overnight, like sourdough starter, but faster and hungrier. By the third month, I was making more money than I ever had. The lab couldn't keep up. Even the critics called it revolutionary. My mom, who refused to give up veal even after Buttercup, started to consider shifting to vegan because of how good Alpha tasted. I was making the exact difference I saw in the world.
And yet you're on our show tonight. There's another shoe to drop.
Unfortunately, I had started giving it a cup or two of my blood, and I would wake up lightheaded and anemic. The pride was keeping me going, but I was exhausted. Alpha thrived, and that's what was pushing me forward. Every cut I took from it was magnificent. Every bite someone took from it saved an animal from slaughter, at least in my mind. The money, the praise, the validation, it was everything I dreamed of. It had become a cycle. I gave it life, and it gave me purpose.
The problem with closed loops, though, are that they eventually eat their own tail.
I had convinced myself it was temporary, that the blood proteins would stabilize it, but it just needed too much blood. Independence never came. Within a month, 2 cups weren't enough. The surface lost its shine, the smell dulled, it sagged as though it was starting to die, the taste was off. No longer beautiful and earthy, but mildewy. I even got my first bad review. Yeah, I was more like sobbing. I cried for 3 nights straight. I gave it everything I could, but my body had limits. One morning I fainted and woke up to smoke alarms screaming. I had been frying up another sample and it was burnt to a crisp and the kitchen had filled with smoke. I nearly lost everything. Alpha, the lab, myself.
So like any sane person, you decided to stop the track you were on.
I decided I needed to help it stabilize, like any parent would help their child and give them everything they needed to succeed.
That doesn't sound like stopping.
It needed more, not less. Something that wouldn't just nourish it, but build it. Real, dense protein. And what's more ethically sourced than my own skin?
Well, that's a leap in logic.
But the logic was sound, because it worked. I sterilized a scalpel, cleaned the surface with ethanol, and took a small square just from my side, under the ribs. It was an inch, maybe less. It was an area I could cover easily and be forgotten. It stung, but when the piece hit the bowl, the reaction was instant. The surface rippled and expanded before my eyes. For a moment, the whole kitchen glowed faintly pink as though the sunrise had slipped inside. By morning, it had nearly quadrupled in size. It overflowed over the huge storage tub I had now stored it in. Fibers pushed up the sides and spilled over the edge. Within a week, Alpha outgrew every bowl, every pan, every sense of proportion. I started logging its progress in a spreadsheet. Day 24, vibrant color, steady growth. Day 25, texture, near muscle. Heat output, self-generated. Day 26, kitchen smells faintly like a bakery.
Sounds like your metrics were consistent.
Oh, they were better than consistent. I packaged a few portions, tiny ones, for expanding the brand. I'd focused on local places, but now was confident I could expand. I sent it out to bloggers, influencers, anyone who could get the word out about my culinary miracle. I expected 1 or 2 responses. By the next morning, my inbox looked like a slot machine. Chefs begging for more, bloggers calling it the most convincing substitute on the market. Someone even asked for the secret recipe. I cackled at that one. It was just me. I was the secret recipe.
Now that's what I call a business partnership. 50-50, split between brain and brawn.
You're not wrong. I felt proud, like the universe had finally rewarded me for caring so much.
Selling food with a biohazard is caring?
Made with love, but literally. Compassion Foods had gone from basement startup to darling of every popular food blogger in America. I was flown in to do food shows and news segments. Everyone wanted to see the miracle loaf. Then came the talk show circuit, daytime divas, late night comics. I met Chef Bazooka, who called it the Tesla of turkey. Then there was the celebrity wellness guru Gwen Bliss Turner, who said Alpha's aura was mouth positive. Even the mayor invited me to cater a ribbon cutting for a new recycling plant. One network offered a weekly cooking segment. Home-cooked miracles with Brandy Holt. But behind the cameras, I was falling apart. Alpha didn't like being left alone. Every time I left, it slumped. Every time I returned, it bloomed again. It was like dragging a needy lover through customs. I had to keep it alive, keep it radiant, no matter what it cost.
So you continued to feed it pieces of yourself through all of this?
I had to do what needed to be done, because then came the offer. Good Morning Nowhere. Their producers promised the biggest live audience I'd ever had. They wanted the full demonstration. Bring the magic, they said. I should have said no. Alpha was growing too fast to move, but the network sent a truck, and I told myself it would behave for me. It always had.
A mother's faith.
Or denial. Either way, we went live that Friday morning. And for a while, it was perfect.
And now, it's Good Morning Nowhere with your host, Gemma September.
Welcome back to Good Morning Nowhere. We're here with local hero and culinary visionary, Brandy Holt, the genius behind Compassion Foods Alpha, the most ethical meat on the market. It looks amazing. Brandy, you've brought quite a lot of it with you today.
I wanted to show everyone that it was the most alive Tofurky you can get on the market. Whether you are looking for chicken, steak, turkey, this can replicate a ton of different meats perfectly.
That's incredible. How?
A few different spices, seasonings, and secrets.
Can you cook some for us now?
Of course.
I dipped my hand in the tub of Alpha we brought. It was a steel drum full of it.
See, it stretches like real meat fibers, but a little more resistant than usual.
Brandy, is it supposed to do that?
And I'm guessing this was when Alpha decided it didn't want to show the spotlight.
It pulled me in, completely. So fast I couldn't think. The surface climbed my wrist. I tried to pull away, but was consumed into Alpha's mass in seconds, hearing the audience's screams muffle into the nothing.
I remember hearing about that, actually.
They tried to cover most of it up, say a cooking accident occurred. You know, a basic workman's comp situation, as though I slipped on the floor. It's the incident that unfortunately ended our company's rise, though. It was halted after.
So how did you escape?
Well, Silas, if you can't beat 'em, join 'em.
Join them? You mean you...
I mean exactly that. I am Alpha, and Alpha is me. We're one recipe now, perfectly blended. No waste, no cruelty, no separation. Isn't that what compassion's supposed to look like?
So in front of 2 million viewers, Brandy Holt and Alpha became a single, shining product line. The first ethical meat with its own spokesperson permanently attached. Well, Brandy, or Alpha, or both, thank you for surviving the night.
Anytime. And remember, go vegan.
The network called it a tragedy. The investors called it a merger. Here in Nowhere, we just call it dinner theater. See you next week.